This is the perfect project to do a few days before Christmas, and it's going to add the perfect scent, making the holiday season a little more festive. We're going to go throughout the entire bush and just snip it down. Once you have a bunch of smaller pieces, you can begin working them in. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take these branches and stick them right into the styrofoam. You can be using fresh floral foam. However, what I've noticed after using fresh greens for over a decade now is that it actually holds up really nicely. What you can do is you can mist these like a house plant. But if you do this about a week before Christmas or when you have friends and family coming over, they do last. You can also submerge this into a bucket of water and that'll prolong the life as well. And we'll just continue filling in. And it already's making my craft room smell amazing. And all different greeneries have different scents. The only one I'd avoid is boxwood. Boxwood doesn't have the best scent, but any other greenery really does have a beautiful smell. So we're gonna just continue filling in with all of these little pieces. And in the end, we shouldn't be able to see any of the styrofoam. If you run out of greens and you still see styrofoam, what you can always do is come back in with some ornaments and embellishments and hide any styrofoam that is still showing. And all I'm gonna do to make it more to scale is I'm just gonna take our berries and break them off into smaller pieces. So I'm just snipping them right down. Now I'm just adding a little dollop of hot glue and I'll just stick them right to the branches. And you can dress this up with whatever you decide, whether it be ornaments, you can also add some ribbon, you could add stars, you can add other embellishments, but I think just a few red berries is going to finish it off. Now we're going to add some ornaments. So these come on a spray form from our website, but all I'm going to do is just snip off each ornament. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to just take them and stick them right in, place a few up top as well, and our last little ball we'll place up top. And here is how our little Christmas tree turned out. We used a styrofoam cone, some greenery, a few embellishments, including balls and berries, and that is it. So this was a lot of fun to create and very budget friendly. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Nick Creticus of Nick's Seasonal Decor, and you're watching me on Hometalk. See you in the next episode.
Grab some fresh greenery for this Christmas decor. Cut a strip of fabric for some ribbon. Trim the top of the greenery and then place it on top of each other. Secure it together with jute, leaving a loop at the top. Fasten some pine cones to the greenery using hot glue. Use your fabric to tie a ribbon at the top and hang it on your door for some beautiful pine cone swag. Grab some pine cones, place some rocks in a planter or container, add in some greenery, place the pine cones on top, hot glue together to make them higher, add in some fairy lights, and you've got the most beautiful pine cone topiary.
Grab a box of borax. You'll need a bucket or container large enough to fit your branches without them touching the sides of the container or each other. Fill your chosen container with enough water till the branches are covered to the length you want. You'll then transfer the water to a large pot, noting how many cups of water you've poured. For every 1 cup of water you use, you'll need 3 tablespoons of borax. Bring the water to a boil and have your measured borax ready to go in a bowl. Once the water has come to a boil, carefully pour it back into your container. Add the borax and stir till dissolved. Submerge your branches and let them sit undisturbed for a full 24 hours. Then carefully remove your crystallized branches from the solution and place them on a towel to dry completely. You can use any kind of branch, stem, or twig. It's always interesting to see how the crystals cling to various surfaces such as seed pods and leaves. Once the crystals have dried completely, you can arrange your branches however you like. Of course, you can simply display them in a vase or get creative and use a hot glue gun to attach them to the outside of a jar for a rustic effect. Tie on a ribbon and insert a votive for a pretty winter display.
We are collecting branches from a generous neighbor who just pruned some oak trees during fall. Once the leaves started to drop, I pulled the remaining leaves off all the branches until they were completely bare. Moving to the front door, I am placing 2 old metal buckets on each side of the entry area. I'm now grabbing the largest of the branches and positioning them into the buckets, then using smaller branches as fillers tucked in around them. Grabbing some florist's wire, I'm winding the wire around the bulk of the branches to secure them together. Moving the branches close to the wooden door frame, I'm using an electric stapler to attach the wire to the woodwork to secure the branches in one spot. As I'm working, I'm pruning off any branches that will hinder the door from swinging or people walking around it. I'm now choosing 2 of the longest branches to create a slight curve on top when combined and long enough to reach both front door lights. They are being wrapped with wire to secure them together. After making a few branch trims, I'm carrying the tied branches to position them over top of each light. After adding a few more branch fillers, I'm wiring them to any other secure branches within reach. After a quick pruning, I'm now untangling some white stringed outdoor mini lights. My intention had been to use lights with green strings, however, since I didn't have enough, I have a plan to make this look even better than my original idea. Grabbing some full snow spray, I'm spraying the branches so they look like fresh blown snow all over them, which also chimes in beautifully with the white stringed lights. If you'd like a more permanent option, you can also paint the branches with white spray paint before they are mounted. To better secure the branches over the door area, I screwed 2 boards together, then mounted them in the middle of the door. And the result is a whimsical front door winter scene that resembles stepping into Narnia. Wow, what an effect during the day and at night. The white stringed lights look positively charming, draped on the white snowy branches, mimicking sparkling snow. I hope this inspires you to save some pruned branches to create a light-up winter tree arch of your own.
As I decorated for Christmas this year, I came across bag after bag of pine cones. Mix up a solution of 2 parts water to 1 part bleach. Throw in all the pine cones. Make sure the water and bleach solution completely surrounds all sides of the pine cones. Place the cooling rack on top of the pine cones and weigh down with rocks. Place outside due to the fumes and leave for 24 hours. Then drain out the water and bleach and bring the pine cones inside. Place on a cookie sheet and put in a pre-warmed oven at 200 degrees for 2 to 3 hours. Take the pine cones out of the oven and leave them on your counter for a day or so. Now style in a small dough bowl, surround with bells, candles, twinkle lights, etc., and enjoy. We will be hanging the pine cones from their base for the project, so apply the snow text to their bottom like as if the snow had fallen on them while they were hanging. Sprinkle them with glitter of your choice and leave to dry for a few hours. Now tie a bow with the same ribbon or something that would coordinate nicely with the ribbon that it is hanging on, and glue to the bottom of the pine cone over the end of the hanging ribbon. Now hang at varying lengths from a chandelier. Decorate your table and enjoy. Pour the Epsom salts into your shallow container. Place all of your pine cones upright in the cardboard box. Spray a good covering of spray adhesive on all sides of the pine cones and then roll them in the Epsom salts. Set aside to dry for 6 hours or when not tacky. Tip the pine cones over and repeat both steps. Leave for 24 hours. Now take them out and display them in all sorts of pretty places, like on a silver tray or under a glass dome or on your mantle. I hope you enjoyed these projects and that they bring joy to your winter decorating.
Today I'm going to decorate this with some pine cones. I want to give the cones a kind of a bleached look, but I don't want to use bleach itself, so I've decided I'm going to use this. It's a colour, it's an acrylic paint, it's called Parchment, and I'm mixing it with some water. So I've made like a paint soup in here, and I'm going to put the cones in and just slosh them around in this until they're all coated. Might have to add a bit more paint if it looks too weak. Okay, here are my cones all ready. I haven't painted all of them, I've left some brown so that I've got a bit of a random look to it. I used what was left of the watered down paint to just put a quick coat on this cone so it just knocks the white back a bit. And I've made them into different sizes. The largest ones I'm going to attach to the bottom of the cone. And to do that, I'm going to use a hot glue gun. Okay, that's pretty much all covered now. So I'm just going to leave it to dry up for a little while to make sure it's really set. It's all set up now, but I do have gaps and they're bothering me. So I managed to get a bag of tiny cones and seed heads, and that's another seed head that's been painted white, and bits of leaves and things. So I'm going to use those now to just go in and fill in some of these gaps. Went into my garden to look for a couple of sticks. So I've got an old plant pot here, white one that I just happen to have, and I've got some oasis that I've cut and stuck in there, and I've got my stick from the garden, and I'm actually going to hot glue it in because this cone that I'm going to put on here is actually quite heavy, so I want to make sure that that stays steady. Once I was happy that my oasis was firmly fixed, I then pushed my cone tree onto the stick, and I did use some hot glue in there as well. And then I just separated some little cotton balls like that and put it around the top to hide the green oasis, and decorated a little bit with some of the cones and seed pods that I had from before. And here's my pine cone tree. It is so cute. I love it. I've put some white baubles on the top to keep in with the neutral theme I was going for. I love the different colours of cones and seed heads. Very easy to do and very, very stunning. I love it so much, I might even have to keep this out all year.
One of my favorite materials to do Christmas crafting with is pine cones. The reason why I love them so much is because you can find them in the great outdoors. So for my first craft, I'm going to take 2 large pine cones and 2 mini flower pots that I picked up at my local Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be setting them on top. Before I put the pine cone in place though, I'm going to give it a coat of paint with some Decor Vintage Effect Wash in the shade Berry. Vintage Effect Wash is a paint that you can use like a stain, so it's great for these wooden pots. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take these stamps, and I'm going to just use some white acrylic craft paint, and I'm going to dab it on with a foam brush. Then I'm going to transfer the stamp to my flower pot. I'm going to spell out the words Holly on one pot and Jolly on the other. But you can spell out whatever you want on your pots, and you can actually even use these as name markers for tables. I'm going to go ahead and hot glue the pine cone into the top of the flower pot, and then I'm going to come in with some white craft glue, and I'm going to brush it onto the tips of the pine cone. Then I'm going to use this diamond sugar dust and sprinkle it over top to add a nice glittery effect. Once that is done, I just shake off the excess diamond sugar dust, and then I'm going to come in with a metal star, and I'm just simply going to hot glue that onto the top. And these little pine cone trees are all finished. I think this is a cute way to add a little touch of Christmas decor to your home, and like I mentioned, you could totally use these as name markers for tables. For my next project, I'm going to come in with these foam balls, and I'm going to take a large darning needle on some twine, and I'm going to poke it right through the center of the foam ball. Now it is a little tough to get the needle through the foam, so once you get it out the other side, you can use a pair of pliers to finish pulling it through. I'm going to continue threading on the foam balls until I've threaded on every single one from the package. Then I'm going to come in with these smaller pine cones that I've gone ahead and pre-painted the tips white. And I'm going to take a thin crafting wire, and I'm going to wrap it around the base of the pine cone, twisting it nice and tight. Then I'm going to come in with this wired Christmas ribbon, and I'm going to add that, pinching it in the middle, making a hoop to the wire that's on the pine cone. I'm also going to add in a tiny stem of Christmas greenery and wrap all this together. Once I have it all wrapped nice and tight, I'm going to go ahead and use a pair of fabric scissors, and I'm going to trim the ribbon off of the spool. And then I'm going to take the wire that is left hanging over, and I'm going to wrap this whole piece directly onto the twine in between my styrofoam balls, making sure I wrap it nice and tight. I'm then going to come in with some Mod Podge, and I'm going to cover the entire ball in Mod Podge and then drip over it the diamond sugar dust to make these look like crystallized snowballs. I'm going to go ahead and do all of them, and then this is my final garland. So I've laid it here on my table. I like it laid out as a nice centerpiece, but you could certainly hang it up if you wanted to as well. I think it looks nice with some beaded garland too, to just add a nice little arrangement to it as well. For my final project, I took these longer pine cones, and I'm going to come in with some white acrylic craft paint, and I'm going to brush just one side of the pine cone. While my paint is drying, I'm going to cut a square out of some red fabric. This square is about 5 by 5 inches, and then I'm going to glue it down one side after I fold it into a triangle. I'm going to trim off the excess, and at the bottom of the triangle I'm going to cut it into a cone shape. Then I'm going to flip the hat back inside out, and using some gold jingle bells, I'm going to glue just a little gold jingle bell just on the tip of the hat. I use a wood bead here, and I'm going to glue it directly at the top, leaving enough room for the hat, and then my hat is going to sit nicely on the pine cone. To jazz up my hat, I'm going to add a string of yarn around the base of the hat to make it look like fur, and then this is my finished gnome ornament. So that I can hang it on a tree, I'm just going to take some decorative ribbon, tie it in a knot at the end, and have a loop, and I'm just going to hot glue that on the back. And this is my final pinecone project. I really hope that you enjoyed these projects. I hope it inspires you to get creative with pine cones that you find outside. Thanks so much for watching Home Talk, and we'll see you next time.